So a while ago, China Hi-Fi Audio reached out to me asking, hey Thomas, can you review some of our gear? And me, being greedy, I was like, sure, send me everything. And next thing you know, UPS dropped off a lot of boxes at my front door. I was even joking on my community page, hey guys, Santa just dropped by. Now, within these boxes, there is a pair of speakers from Sound Artist, the SC8B. I was really looking forward to it because it has a very unique design. It's a horn speaker. Now, for those of you who don't follow me, I've gone through 80 pairs of speakers on my home. So I always try to find something that's different. Does it sound different? Yes, it does. Is it good? That's what we're going to talk about today. So for those of you who plan to buy this speaker after the video, go check out chinahifiaudio.com. Now, just a few notes. First of all, I'm not affiliated with them, so they can sell a million pairs of speakers and it doesn't do anything for me. One thing you should be aware of is the shipping. At the beginning of the pandemic, they did have issues with shipping, and also because they got a lot of orders, so things were delayed. Now, the last time I spoke with them, they hired more people to deal with it, and with the pandemic easing up, shipping has resumed. Although the price of the speaker is only $500 on their website, you have to factor in the shipping costs. It could be $200-300. So think of this as an $800 USD speaker. Now the speaker is actually quite large. When you put it next to my Focal 905, you can tell, wow, it is actually significantly larger. And I like that. The cabinet size, it helps with the bass. It's just that keep that in mind if your space is limited. It has a frequency response range of 30 Hz all the way up to 20 kilohertz. It's efficient, 90 dB, 8 ohms, so it's easy to drive. So I tried it with tube amps, low power amps like 50 watts, and high power amps, and yeah, it drove it with no problem. It's not too heavy. It's about 25 kilograms for both of them. And of course, the most special thing about this speaker is the coaxial design. You have the horn in the middle. The woofers are made of paper from what I read. And because of that, it does have a very unique sound. So next, let's talk about how it sounds. The top end is actually slightly rolled off. It is not sharp. It's not bright. It does sparkle, and it doesn't have that decay problem that I find with some of the horn speakers I listen to. For example, the Bukhara S400. Whenever I listen to that speaker, I feel the decay is a little bit fast. And it's not just the Bukhara S400. Some $20,000-$30,000 speakers, horn speakers I listen to, have that same characteristic. This speaker doesn't have that kind of sound. It doesn't decay really fast. So in that sense, I really like the top end. Next, the mid-range. The mid-range is where it is very interesting. I don't know, is it because of the horn design and that's how horns are? Is accentuated. There's a bit of emphasis on it. So it's not 100% silky smooth. And I'll come back to the mid-range a bit later on. Very, very important, okay? You loving it or hating it, this is the area where you have to pay attention to. It might be the upper mids, I don't know where, but somewhere in the mids. The bass is not exaggerated, so it's linear. It goes down to 30 Hertz, and in that sense, I do hear instruments going down very low, and there's no exaggerated bass there. So it's not that, it doesn't have that visceral punch, but it goes very low. So the result is that, yeah, you hear more texture in the bass. It's just that it's not as fun as the other bookshelf speakers where there's a bit more punch to the bass. Oh, back to the mid-range, is slightly warm. It's not a thin sounding speaker, so there's a bit of meat to the bone. Now, regarding dynamic, yeah, it's dynamic. In terms of speed, I did test the speed. It's not lightning fast, but it's fast enough for this level of pricing. So the bass is not the, what I call a level 1 beginner kind of bass where it's just boom, boom, boom monotone. There's a bit of a layering in the bass. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the sound because I want to focus more on what you should pay attention to and what I like about these speakers. Number one, the looks. Yeah, they went for the vintage look. Maybe it's an acquired taste, so just keep that in mind. Number two, it's the finishing. You know, they didn't even glue the bass port. So I can actually pull out the bass port and also the grills. Here, let me just show you a video what I mean by it. So I guess if you run into the same problem, go buy some glue and take care of it. Now, I will let them know about this problem. Now, those are not that important. The most important is the sound. When I say the mid-range is slightly emphasized, I mean it. You know, there's some speakers where you try where nothing is fighting for your attention. Everything is properly balanced, so you can hear everything properly. And then you have these speakers that everything is fighting for your attention. For example, like full house speakers. Like nothing that fights for your attention, they're like quad speakers. This speaker, the singer is fighting for your attention. One way to think of it is like this. Normal speakers, V curve, right? Boosted top end, boosted bass. This one, if you ever have these old Walkmans with equalizer, it feels like I set my equalizer to a W curve. That's how it feels like. The mid-range is pronounced. It's exact. I won't say exaggerated. And I don't know if there's a bump somewhere in the mid-range, but I find myself hearing the singer a bit more than the surrounding instruments. So my point is, you're not going to get your V curve. If you like the V curve voicing, then yeah, this is not for you. The nature of the horn is there's slight projection to it. It's a bit forward sounding. Even though the soundstage is like farther behind, the singer, for me, it does stand out a little bit. So then the question is, okay, so what's good about it then? Now, this is where I transition into why I really like this speaker. Is exactly all that at the same time. See, this part that I just described can turn off a lot of people, but it can attract a lot of other people because it's more energetic, it's more lively, it's more dynamic. It doesn't put me to sleep, these speakers. It's not the kind of speaker where you're going to get a glass of red wine and just enjoy yourself. No, this will keep you alert and you'll find yourself toe tapping. I find myself happy listening to it. And I find myself like listening to saxophone a lot. Don't judge me. I like Kenny G, okay? It's like he's blowing the saxophone harder than usual. There's more energy to it. That's why I find myself listening to it louder than what I'm used to. That reminds me a bit of the Bukhara S400. I tend to play those speakers a bit louder, or the Klipsch speakers. You know, there's just more energy to it when I listen, more dynamic. That concert feel, as people describe it. You are there kind of feel. So these speakers have it. Now, another reason why I like these speakers is because of the way it's voiced, right? Remember I said that W curve? This is where it differs from the Klipsch. So even if you have Klipsch speakers, hey, it sounds different. Klipsch, the bass, there's a bit of emphasis, and it has a V curve, the way it's voiced. This sounds different. So that's another reason why you would choose these speakers over Klipsch speakers. The best, of course, is have both speakers, and you know, Monday you listen to these, Tuesday you listen to Klipsch. Next, I like the soundstage. There's air in the soundstage, especially when you pair with tubes. There's space around the instruments, so that I like. Now keep in mind though, the soundstage is not precise. Meaning that unlike other speakers, like Focal for example, sometimes I can pinpoint people in the soundstage, 6.2 meters away, 4.4 meters away over there. This is not like that. It's a bit more like a wall of sound. Yeah, sounds coming from there, for example. And next, I like the bass. There is no exaggerated bass. You get to hear more detail in the bass, and it goes low. It doesn't sound like a small stand mount speaker. It's a bit bigger than that. There's a bit of scale in the presentation. Maybe that's the advantage of able going to 30 Hertz. And finally, I noticed that the speaker scales up really well. You see, with the Klipsch RP8000F, I remember when I had it, with budget and high-end setup, driving these speakers, the performance gap is not that big. But with these speakers, the performance gap is significant. So I drove it with audio refinement. That's a YBA design integrated amp, and it's about $1,000. It sounded very good, but I noticed once I put the Pathos logos in, the Mcintosh MC6700, the performance improvement is significant. So let's wrap it up at this point. Now, when I first got these speakers, I remember I was telling myself, okay, so who can help me review these speakers? Because I look at them, they sound different, they look different, and I say, yeah, you know what, Mr. Kanta, he's another friend who helps me review speakers. I'm like, I don't think it's for him. He's more into speakers that are detailed, bright, refined. He's more into full couch speakers, not for him. Then I thought about Mr. Vintage, but he's more into neutral sounding speakers. So I say, nah. So that's why I reached out to Russ. Now, he already made a video. For those of you who have not seen it, he actually reviewed these speakers. I reached out to him because I said, you know what? He has Zeus speakers, Klipsch speakers, Omega speakers. I say, he'll be perfect to review these speakers. And surely enough, he really liked these speakers. Now, my suggestion is this. If you're somebody who's new to this world of speakers, go check out the Kevs, the Monitor Audios, the ELACs first. Go buy those speakers, okay? If you're somebody who's comfortable with horn speakers, yeah, then you can check these out. If you have never heard horn speakers and you're still interested in these, go listen to some horn speakers first. I know everyone say horn speakers are very lively, feels like you're there, they're dynamic and blah, blah, blah. But until you hear horn speakers for real, you don't know is it for you or not. If it is, if you're somebody like me who has a speaker for every day of the week, then you will look at these speakers because they sound very different. Last thing you want is a full count for every day of the week, right? 1008, 1028, 936, Sopra 2. No. If you want a different sound, or you want to change a speaker from time to time like me, yeah, this is how you do it. Horn speaker, electrostatic speaker, speaker with carbon fiber tweeters, and so forth. I have a lot of fun with it, and I think that for a lot of you who like that horn sound, this is something to consider. Just keep in mind it's not voice with a V curve, so it is a bit different, but I personally like that kind of voicing, because if I want the V curve, I'll just listen to my Klipsch. That's what I'll do. All right, guys, with that, I'll see you guys next time.